Football Australia finds itself in an unenviable position today, now looking for full-time coaches for both the men's and women's senior teams, the Socceroos and the Matildas. Today, Graham Arnold, the longest-serving Socceroos coach, stood down from the role amidst a really difficult qualification series in the Asian zone for the next World Cup in 2026. Now, there's a couple of questions that come from this. Why is it that we're in a situation where both the men's and women's teams are without a full-time coach? Where will those coaches come from? Given the standard and the recent results of both the teams, who will apply? What will be the standard of those people who will apply? Are we looking only domestically in Australia, or will the search continue to look overseas? We also saw recently the departure of Tony Gustafsson as the Matildas coach after the Matildas did not really fulfil all of the hopes and ambitions at the recent Olympic Games, where they hoped to break into the medal category for the very first time. So this is another question that Football Australia will be facing and no doubt asking themselves. Are we expecting too much of our national teams? Is the rest of the world, and particularly in our region, investing more in football and overtaking the position that we once held? Now, that's a logical question and a fair question, given that Australia has so many sports and, funding, support, facilities, all of that is stretched over a very wide smorgasbord. Whereas many other countries, particularly those countries in our region, are focusing very heavily on football and a lot of financing and investment going into it. There are other questions also. We've got the A-Leagues and the separation of that professional men's and women's league from Football Australia, leading to more questions about financial well-being and how the A-Leagues are going to go in the future. So there's a lot hovering around and a very difficult period for Football Australia at this time. Another question stemming from that is, what about the media itself and our own coverage? It's very easy to scapegoat coaches, but coaches often can only work with what they have in front of them. So is there a systemic problem there? Do we need to look more carefully at our junior ranks? One of the concerns I know that various coaching personnel have had over the last few years is that some of our best players and some of the most talented players are being priced out of getting to the elite level. We all know that there are pathways. Many people, though, are going through these elite academies, which cost a fair bit of money and are just not affordable for families, perhaps, that have a number of children. That's registration. They've got to buy boots. They've got to buy uniforms. All of those things go into deciding which sport young kids will play. And that's a shame, because in Qatar 2022, the Socceroos did really well, an equal best ever performance, reaching the round of 16, only losing eventually to the Cup winners in Argentina, and Graham Arnold being elected by L'Équipe, a well-respected sporting publication in France, as the coach of the tournament. We also know of the great swell of support for the Matildas after hosting the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. So is the media and the public perhaps having an inflated sense of where we should be? And are we putting too much expectation on our players and on our coaches and on Football Australia itself? Do we need to pare that back a little bit? Not underrepresent the talent and the quality that is there, but a realistic analysis of where we sit and where we are placed with the rest of the world developing along, different lines and different weights. All of that is ahead of Football Australia, as I said, an unenviable position, and we wish them well, hoping that there will soon be full-time coaches announced for both the Matildas and the Socceroos.